Hello YouTube, you got Video Game House here again with another deck profile video with Turbo Mega Starmie. The deck is basically streamlined that you want to go second and then get Mega Starmie out on turn 1. That's it. The Pokemon are relatively self-explanatory for those who don't know. Mega Starmie has a 1 water energy attack that does 120 and does 50 damage to your opponent's bench Pokemon. Mega Starmie's other attack is 3 energy, 210, and it cuts through the effects of your opponent's Pokemon and ignores water weakness and resistance, so it just hits 210. Which does work because that deals with things like Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, well, all of the Ogerpons actually, sorry. Pheasantipity, Meowth, it does get one-shot attackers off. That can give you 2 free prizes on every one of the support Pokemon in the game. Relatively. Then we run 2 Budews. The reason we run these Budews is because if you start poorly, you can still use Budew to slow your opponent down. And since the Mega Starmie costs 3 prize, you can use Budew. If you still need more time, use another Budew. And then you're able to get off with a Mega Starmie and another Mega Starmie. That way you're able to still, if your opponent takes 1 prize, you know, it's 1 prize, 3 prizes. So that's 5 prizes in total. And then they need to take out the last Mega Starmie, which is another 3 prizes, and it doesn't really matter at that point. So you are able to still use both Budews. Budew also being a free retreat. If you open Budew and you open Buddy-Buddy Poffin or you open Pokepad, you can still get a Staryu on the board, freely retreat the Budew out, and that way it's not in the way as well. Now, the combo pieces in this is the boss, the Lillies, so that way you're able to bring up what you need to take knockouts while also injuring the bench, or even taking up a support Pokemon to do damage to it and then the bench, so that way you can hold it, you know, captive using, say, Gravity Gemstone to make it hard for your opponent to switch back out. And that way, you can just hit that while hitting the bench for 50 and weakening other things. Lillie's is just a hand reset. Kieran does help because technically you can use Kieran for a plus 30. So that way you can have Mega Starmie hit for 150 or 240, and there are some EX Pokemon that have 240 HP. So the Kieran does add that 30 to get Nebula Beam, its second attack, to hit 240. Just a thought, really, to getting through those things. Kieran is basically meant for the switch option too. You can easily, like, if your opponent brings up Budew and uses Yveltal to lock it in or something along those lines, you either can wait the 2 turns or you can use Kieran to switch. Just a thought, but the Kieran is just meant for the plus 30. The big bread and butter of the deck is Salvatore. Salvatore states that you can evolve one of your Pokemon into another Pokemon that is in its evolution chain that doesn't have an ability. So if you go second, you can evolve a Staryu into a Mega Starmie immediately. You don't have to wait a turn. You don't have to do anything like that. You can just start Staryu, Salvatore in hand, you evolve it to Mega Starmie, give it an energy, and then start hitting for 120. Which, if you're up against an evolution-based deck that your opponent may have, their starter may be a support EX Pokemon, which you can Nebula Beam knock out with the Ignition Energy. Or you can do a basic like Dreepy or something. You can hit it for 120 while also doing damage to your opponent's bench and putting them on the back foot. Wally's Compassion, again, should be at a 2 count, not a 4 count. I mean, you can have it at a 4 count if you want. Just, I'm sure there's stuff you can remove or change around if you wanted to. I just hit the plus button too many times, I believe. But Wally's Compassion, it is a Mega Starmie, and since we don't really run anything else in the deck, and its attack is 1 energy, you can just go Energize Mega Starmie. Or, sorry, attack Mega Starmie, they punch you back, you know, you take 200 damage. Cool. Wally's Compassion, heal to full, put energy back down on Mega Starmie, punch again. So, I think 4 Wallies wouldn't be terrible, in all honesty, because if they cannot one-shot you, which a lot of decks don't really do anymore, like, 330 is a lot now, Wallies could be pretty good, because you can just, you know, 1 energy punch, Wallies, 1 energy punch, Wallies, and just keep doing that over and over. Call Bell is a unique item card. Not a lot of people know what it does, but it states that you can only use Call Bell if you're going second and if it is your first turn. You use this to go grab your Salvatore, so that way you can evolve your Staryu into Mega Starmie immediately. We also have Pokégear in the deck to give us another option to hopefully top deck Salvatore for turn 1. It also does help later in the game where you can use it to get Lillies in order to reset your hand as well. And a lot of the cards are self-explanatory after that. Buddy-Buddy Poffin, Energy Search, Pokepad. The reason we put Energy Search in the deck is because I swear that TCG Live has an issue with finding energies, where I was never finding energies, and that was my energy count. It had 14 energies in the deck, and I was drawing empty hands 5 games in a row with 0 energies in them and no way to get them. And as soon as I added Energy Search, my first game after that, I opened 4 water energies. I swear to God. So annoying. But we added those in there. This deck is so consistent. It literally only needs Staryu, Mega Starmie, Salvatore, Call Bell, and everything else is up to you, really, to just throw in the deck. We added Gravity Gemstone because if our opponent is using a bigger deck that's harder to retreat out of, maybe, you know, Mega Pokemon that have 2 energy retreat costs or stuff like that. Without a Latias outplay, you know, you can lock something in with Gravity Gemstone, keep it in the active, hit it over, hit it over, hit it over again, and while you're adding that, you're putting up all those damage counters on the bench, so you're able to weaken things and bring them up using the boss's orders to, you know, hit other things instead. And then we also run 2 handheld fans because a lot of things these days cannot one-shot the Mega Starmie, so they hit me, I move the energy somewhere else, and there are a lot of people using support Pokemon, so you put it somewhere else, and then suddenly it becomes really good for you, because now they have 1 less energy on the board to deal with things. We also added an air balloon, mainly for getting stuck, because like if you really do want to set up both Mega Starmies, and if you can set up one but never find another energy, I did add the air balloon, so we were able to switch it out into the other Mega Starmie. Our stadium bump is just Surfing Beach, because you can then switch a Mega Starmie with another Mega Starmie. Cool. 9 energy, 4 ignition, and 1 legacy, because if you don't use the Budew at all, you can actually use Mega Starmie with a legacy energy, Mega Starmie, and leave Staryu on the bench. If Staryu gets, like, knocked out, it doesn't matter. And then if you have the other 2 Mega Starmies, it's like, cool, legacy no longer matters. So you just kind of, don't even need a legacy anymore. But, like, if you go into triple Mega Starmie, you can have legacy on one of them, and if your opponent, you know, has to get through the legacy, then they can't. Like, they have to take out 9 prizes worth, because legacy cuts it down. So it helps with the matchup to try and, like, determine where you want to go with it. Can you use Unfair Stamp? Sure. Can you use Secret Box? Sure. Can you use Prime Catcher even? Absolutely. Again, the deck is a meme. It's a lot of fun. Let's get into the gameplay. I'll show you what I mean, and obviously I'll give you my 2 cents on everything. We're going to start at a point where this deck wasn't even a thing. This is like the final deck, and this is still not even all the way there, but I was sick of looking at it after this point. We played like 3 hours of just this to figure out where we wanted to go with it. So it started totally different. So this was our very first game. I am normally speeding up these videos by like 250 or 300% to make it go much, much faster, so we just commentate over them. This game specifically, I'm going to show you why Turbo Starmie go burr. Where this instance, weirdly enough, when we were playing this deck, happened more than you think. I did not continue to make the video all about this kind of a moment, but it did happen a lot. So this is our first turn. As you saw there, you saw Hilda. You see Duskull and Dusclops in my opening hand. We did try and run this with the Dusclops engine originally, or Dusk Noir engine. So that way we can ping for 130 and then hit for 120, but also put the 5 damage counters on the back, so we're able to kind of do more damage. I think that Rocket's Venture Bomb has a pretty good spot in here, because a lot of Pokemon have, like, basics have 70 HP. So you can Rocket's Venture Bomb. If you hit it, you hit your opponent's bench for 20, so you can hit your opponent's Dreepy for 20, and then ping the 5 damage to take a knockout on the bench. I think you can use 4 of those. I think that would be a good include as well. Our opponent goes Ogerpon, Ability, Manual Attach, Pass. And for those of you who do know the deck, you can pretty much see where this is going. Call Bell searches a supporter out of the deck. We grab Salvatore. And you can easily see the deck here. We had Latias, we had Meowth, we had Pheasantipity in the original list. But we found very quickly that it's super not necessary. We get the evolution, we go Ignition because it was just in our hand, and we hit the 210 for a free knockout. That was the entire first game that we played with this deck, and I was like, that was not supposed to work that way, not at all that fast. We were supposed to be using, you know, Duskull and you know, combos with Meowth, where you go like Ultra Ball into Meowth, into Salvatore, into Mega Starmie, into like hits, and it's like, we can do all these things, and it's like, or I could just have like play Staryu, play Call Bell for Salvatore, play Salvatore, and then attach an Ignition Energy and the game ends. It's like, play 4 cards, the game is over. So now we're into actual games where we're still learning the deck. We want to figure out what we can do. Like, as you see there, we have Alicia's Appeal in the deck as well. We thought, I think we had 2 or 3 bosses in the deck, maybe even 4 at this point, and we used Alicia as another boss's orders because if we can bring up a basic Pokemon, we figure, okay, we can hit a basic, make it confused if it does get to survive, and still put up a lot of damage. But again, another show off of Ultra Ball into Salvatore, into this, so we can take big damage. Unfortunately, we didn't really plan around this because now we don't have water energy. We don't really have anything else that we can really do here. And after adding the Surfing Beach, we realized how, like, not necessary Latias really was outside of, like, making sure that Meowth doesn't get into the active. And then when Meowth started getting into the active, we figured out how bad Meowth was, so we also cut that out of the deck too. And that's when we started realizing, like, Duskull line is just going to get in the way and cost me prizes, which I don't want it to cost me prizes, because then, obviously, it's easier to just take, if I have to use 2 Duskulls and they take out, Mega Starmie, it's like, oh, well, Budew can go down, or they can start targeting things like Latias or Meowth or whatever in order to just get the game. So, bringing in our Pheasantipity, using that Licia's Appeal, get the knockout because we got an Ignition Energy, but now we're, like, in another big problem. We actually forgot to get rid of Postwick. But getting rid of Postwick wouldn't have changed anything, though, because he actually, I believe, he hits 15 anyway without it, so he's still going for a knockout for 350 damage, or for 340, so it still gets, or I don't know what it is, it's like 160, so it's like 350 total. So he'll still get a knockout on me regardless of, like, the overall case, even if I got rid of it. Oh, was that the turn he missed? I think he did miss, yeah, because I didn't take out a Hops Pokemon on that turn. I took out a Fez. So he didn't get the bonus, so he was off by 10, which allows me to get one more swing off, and that just weakens multiple Pokemon. Now we have the backup, we got the switch in with the surfing, so my opponent couldn't just take out my Mega Starmie on the bench. He had to work for it. And we were able to get enough free Pokemon. Since we didn't take any knockouts, again, Hops Trevenant doesn't do bonus damage, so now he's just trying to find things that he can work with. He played Surfer for a free draw, but the deck works really well against single prize decks in the weirdest way. Most weird, and even more weird, is that it also lines up with the Team Rocket's Venture Bomb, because of Team Rocket's Venture Bomb here would put 2 damage counters on Trevenant and knock it out here. So a lot of single prizes, even Alakazam. Alakazam also has 140 HP, so we only hit 120. Venture Bomb, throw Venture Bomb, and then Alakazam gets knocked out, and then you can hit 50 on the bench. All the Abras have 50 HP. Kadabra does go to 80, but there's things like Fan Rotom in the deck, Dunsparce in the deck that also has 70 HP now. So, like, you can use the Venture Bomb to weaken and then actually get attacks off. So I think in my actual build, I would probably sub a few cards to get Team Rocket's Venture Bomb. I'd probably add things like Judge or Lucian to just get a new hand, because the deck does kind of run on fumes after, like, a couple of turns. So since we are looking at, like, the final board state here, so I'm like, if I lose this Mega Starmie, the game ends no matter what. So I'd rather just be at full health so I don't worry about these kinds of things. And we're just trying to weaken the Trevenant, because if the Trevenant's now on the bench, I can still hit it for 50 and knock it out. If it comes to the active, because it has to attack me, I still hit it and knock it out. So there was just no way getting around it. I didn't want to put 50 on the Phantom, because then if it evolved into a Trevenant, it would be out of death range, and then it would be in the active. So, or he could have used a different Pokemon entirely. He tried to go for the cheeky coin flip, but that's why I set myself up where it doesn't matter, and Jetting Blow still can take the knockout. It's very fun. This deck works really well against not stage 1, but it works very well against single prize Pokemon. Outside of that, it's awkward. It can still win stage 2. I will say that. It just doesn't feel great. Like you can see here, I got to go second. I got Call Bell. Unfortunately, I did not open my actual water energy that I need, so we're still going to go into the Mega Evolution, because if he doesn't have, like, Stadium, and then even if he did Arbovila, doesn't do that much damage, we're just kind of, like, trying to play cards, expecting a possible Budew. We're like, let's just use Pokégear anyway. Hilda can also find, besides just an evolution Pokemon, it can find a special energy. I'm thinking that I probably could have used Colress, because Colress can find me an energy now, like Ignition or the water energy, along with the Surfing Stadium, so at least we get 2 cards out of the deck. We saw that our opponent did put down, like, searched the Dolliv and played Dolliv, meaning he doesn't have another one. He had to search it just to get the one down. So we're already putting up damage on Smoliv without the stadium and all the way into Arbovilo this turn. It's really bad. My opponent wasn't showing anything of that, so they just conceded right there. So, I mean, you can kind of see, this does show off the properties of the deck and how we worked out solutions and trying to figure out how to make the deck better and better. And we still can make it better, but it's a grueling pain to try and run this thing so many times. And many games were possible, like turn 1, I play this, game ends. So as you see here, we did get Budew, and we did find a Staryu, so we're actually able to play the game, and just checking the deck. Do we have water energy? Do we have this? Do we have that? We have everything here. But for some reason, we didn't get a water energy. I think 1 water energy was prized at this point. We had 8 water, 4 ignition, and a legacy, 13 energy into the deck, and we searched so many things and got nothing. So we just used the Salvatore anyway, just to get the Mega Evolution off, so my opponent couldn't just, dunk on it and call it a day. But looking at the board states, since, we're not looking at a lot of things. We item lock, so we can't use Pokepad. He can't use Buddy-Buddy Poffin to set up his bench. So, in a way, we're doing very, very good here. He does get down Festival Grounds because he needed to search Festival Grounds just so that way he could attack twice and do 40 damage to take out the Budew. Because if he didn't, he would have gone nowhere here. Unfortunately for him, though, because his hand is locked, now we're able to just kind of like spread damage all over the place. And so long as we don't see a Shaman, we would win the matchup. And I believe in this one, my opponent actively doesn't have a Shaman. And that kind of like just freely cost him the game. So this is where I played a mistake role, where I evolved the third Staryu, where if my opponent targets the Staryu right now, Staryu and a Mega Starmie is worth 4 prizes. Or Staryu and the Mega Staryu with the luxury is only worth 3 prizes. So I should never evolve this Staryu. Because if I did, then it becomes a target where my opponent can boss it up, and if I don't have the energy for it, then it just gets stuck there. He does boss right here for the Mega Starmie. I'm not quite sure why that is or what happened here, but he just went for it anyway. And again, showed off the option to switch. If we could have used Lilies, we could have played the Ignition Energy to use Nebula Beam. We could have used the Ignition Energy on the evolved Starmie, because it would work that way, to retreat. But then we obviously lose the energy. We don't want to lose that kind of power. So we just went with Kieran, because Kieran's not doing much of anything besides switching in this game, because you don't need that plus 30 to do more damage when all of their Pokemon have nothing. We're already ahead 3 prizes. So we can just ignore Reller at this point, because all we have to do is hit the active and then shoot that new 50 HP Pokemon he just put there, the other Goldeen, or the Dipplin with 40 HP. So long as I take something out next turn, two out next turn, Reller doesn't matter anymore. So we put it down, it's too late, it doesn't do anything. We don't need to do extra damage to the bench when we're, 2 prize cards ahead, and we're about to get 2 more because he intentionally put down a 40 HP and a 50 HP after seeing what Goldeen does. Or what Goldeen does. What Mega Starmie does. He does go into Seeking, which you also, again, were not afraid of, because if he goes Seeking, he's maximum doing 120, and then if you give him the, let's say, Black Belt's training, so now he's doing 100 per swing. If you give him a maximum band, you're doing 150 per swing. You're still not taking a knockout on me. And that's like when push came to shove, that was like what I was worried about. It's like, can you get a knockout on me? Not with Seeking. So we don't want to give him any more search options, and we know we can still take out the Goldeen on the bench. So we just take out the Thwackey, and we take out the Goldeen. We get our 2 prizes. We're down to 1 prize. Even at his best, like, Dipplin, he would need a Grass Energy, a booster with either Brave Bengal or Maximum Belt or Black Belt's Karate or Training, whatever, to get the knockout. But in doing so, he obviously needs to search extra cards and go really far just to take 3 prizes. But again, we only have 1 prize card left. We already have everything in our hand, and if he uses a hand reshuffler, he still can't one-shot the Mega Starmie. I still get 2 turns to like pick everything up here. So we still had plenty of time and nothing to really worry about. So we just let him do his thing, and he conceded after the first hit, knowing he couldn't get a knockout on me. Into our next game. We start off with the Budew. We do get the Buddy-Buddy Poffin, the Energy Search, everything that we needed except Salvatore. And I believe this was when we stopped running Meowth. I'll find out for you right now. Let's find out. Boop, boop. Oh, no, Meowth is still there. So yeah, we stopped running Meowth, but because we started opening him a lot, we didn't like it. So still showed off exactly how this game works. Ultra Ball into Meowth, into Salvatore, into getting the attack off and taking a knockout on one. Turbo. That was when we were using like less Call Bells and less Pokégear 3.0s, so we just took those things out to run 4 Call Bells, 4 Pokégear 3.0s to give us a higher chance of hitting one of those things, besides having to hit the Ultra Ball into discard, into Meowth, into 2 prize liability on the bench. So, great start, by the way. Crazy start, by the way. Also, all of this stuff is here, and look at our handful of epic, ready-to-go tools. It does make things a little more difficult because of what we have to do here. We take the Jetting Blow. We're not worried about Budew, because at any point, Budew just becomes a free prize, so we're not worried about him. If he, if it came in and it item locked us, our hand didn't have any items. Like, outside of using Lillies to get items, none of it mattered. And we don't really run that many items to really talk about, so it's like, okay, if you Budew, it's still there. So, oh no, my Call Bell is blocked, I guess. So now we're just gonna like thin the list out and just all the other stuff into Lillies. Oh, we got more water energy, boom, and Call Bell is blocked because can't use it anyway. So we're gonna try and weaken our opponent here a little bit, because if they evolve outside of like a rare candy, then I can still take them out. So again, if I had Team Rockets and flipped that coin, there was always a % chance where I could remove the Dreebies. So, like I said, the deck always can be changed and made better. And honestly, if you guys think that you can find what stuff we could remove, absolutely let me know in the comments section below. We can make the deck a little bit better. If the tournaments like our closed deck list, this deck can surprise your opponent very easily. But if you're not, like, if it's a closed deck list tournament, if it's open deck list, it's very easy for your opponent to go, okay, cool. I'm just gonna make you go first, and then you're like half your plan is just ruined outright. So my opponent did play this smart though. He put Dusknoir in the active, knowing full well I couldn't take a knockout on it, but he didn't use it. Like, here would have been a fine time to use the Dusknoir to get value out of it, because like he needs to do the damage, but he just moved the Monkey Dory damage and then just blow up the Dusknoir instead. So it was kind of awkward, but it's like, I guess because I have to remove these things, it doesn't change anything. Since we got the extra energy, we're like, let's just set up another energy on the Mega Starmie because of the chance we can use Jetting Blow. And Monkey Dory does make this deck feel a little more awkward, I'd have to say. So, oh, we still have another game, another minute. Okay. So, we got one more game in us. I thought we were actually done after that one, my bad. Let me just finish this up with you guys. And like I said, if you guys have good ideas for funny decks like Turbo Mega Starmie, it's funny. I think this is like the actual like last game where we finally like found a better version of the deck where we can actually still like play it, but it's focused specifically on doing just one thing and one thing only, and that's getting Mega Starmie on the board as quickly as possible. You got to be very careful of star decks of things like Empoleon though, because they do have a negative, like a minus damage from their attacks, and minus damage on Pokemon that can only do 12 really is pretty bad. So you'd have to find Ignition Energy, or you have to add extra energy onto the Mega Starmie in order to do 210, which cuts through the abilities because of the effect of the attack. So my opponent, I don't know what happened here. He put energies down, and then I think he forgot he manually attached and put up the Mega Mawile, and then just, I guess, crumpled under the pressure somehow and just gave up. But as you guys saw, the deck is very, very linear. You try your best to go second, And if you do, you can do a combo that allows you to get Mega Starmie on the board on turn 1, hit for 120, and just kind of snowball that damage as much as possible for as long as possible. I would highly suggest more hand resets, more possible draw things like maybe Petrol and Team Rocket's Factory to draw 2. Maybe add Judge or Lucian so you can reset yours and your opponent's hand. And then hopefully you can get more, maybe Team Rocket's Bomb, whatever the heck that's called, so you can try and do a little bit more damage here and there. This is Turbo Mega Starmie. There is another version, Mega Starmie Mega Frostlass, will be coming out a video with that one next. So if you guys enjoy Mega Starmie, there is another variant that I find a lot better and more consistent and more overwhelming than this guy. This guy is a lot of fun. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments. I will see you guys in the next video.